Okay. So, this is a you segment. And I added this because there's some things I wanted to say, but a lot of this might actually be something you.
Did I see this?
No.
Or is this... Oh,
No.
okay.
This was one of the ones I added like yesterday. Are you excited for the Mega Man Battle Network connection? Why do I keep calling it that? Collection. It's not a connection. It's not a fucking wrestling tag team. It's a series of games for the Game Boy Advance.
I'm super excited for it.
So
I know that's something that people have been asking over and over and over for a long time, and now that it's finally happening, people are like, oh great, we got it now. How about this next thing with the Mega Man? Can we get that collection next? I'm just like, I'll just take what I could get with the Mega Man, because that they have been doing nothing new with him for years at this point. So just anything for them to like toss at us, I'm just like, thank you, because everybody knows the biggest thing that I want, and it's gonna be a fucking miracle to even have it happen.
So I'm trying to find just maybe an article that I can just put up just so you guys can see.
I personally have never played any of the Battle Network. Well, actually, I did. I did play Battle Network. I played like one of the first 3 ones, and I specifically remember that because I'm pretty sure I actually don't know if you had it as well, but I had that back when they had the toys and they had the cards that you could get.
Yeah.
That
I remember those
real life versions of the actual game. It was so cool. Just seeing those was just. Like
I was excited for just because. So okay, and this is probably the only thing I can really say about this, because I did not grow up with I didn't grow up with like the 80s Mega Man. I didn't grow up with like the original games and stuff like that. But I always like wanted to play the Battle Network games as a kid because I had a Game Boy Advance and I always thought they looked cool. And now I have a chance to. If there was any Mega Man I grew up with, it was this fucking lanky looking Mega Man, right? Like the TV show looking version and whatever. So I don't have a whole lot to say except for, like, for me, I was just excited to see, like, oh my god, another Game Boy Advance, because I love the Game Boy Advance. Like, I maintain that, like, the line of Game Boy, just Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance is probably the greatest handhelds of all time until, I don't know, that's really tough to say, because the DS is really, I can't say, I gotta take that back, because the DS and the 3DS are really strong, too. And obviously you have to count the Switch now, so it's really tough to say. But nonetheless, like, I love the Game Boy Advance specifically. I love that it's basically a Super Nintendo handheld. I love the way that, like, any fucking game looks on it.
No, it looks. A lot of this just Game Boy Advance games have always looked super crisp and colorful.
For me, like, just seeing the trailer itself was like a nostalgia trip of games I haven't fucking played. Now, and I'm not gonna bring this back to Sonic, but if we could just get the Sonic Advance collection, we'll be fucking.
That is something that has been like, just on the like back burner for me for like things that I want. I'm just like, because I have the third one, but it's like
I have them all, but I want it on console. But yeah, I am. I was extremely excited for this. Any kind of more Game Boy. We don't get enough Game Boy Advanced stuff, in my opinion. And I don't know if it's just because they're like handhelds, so they just kind of assumed like, oh my gosh, like I can think of the Game Boy Advance. Seriously, has so many like lines of games. Like sometimes with consoles, you get like 1 or 2 because they take longer to make, but like the handhelds, like, you know, when I'm thinking of like all the different, like, you know, you get Mario and Luigi series got a couple games, right? Sonic had a couple, like 4 or 5, like Mega Man had like 1 million. They all just seem to get a bunch. You know, Castlevania, again, it's not quite advanced, but you know, you got all those handheld ones for years and years. And it just seems like they pumped them out so quick, and they could keep doing all these ideas because they're handheld, so they don't take quite as long to make. But they're so fucking they're good. Metroid had one Fusion, and Advance Mission.
They had Zero Mission.
Zero Mission. Is Advance Mission even a game? That's not a game. I wish I had my Game Boy Advance collection next to me right now so I could just think. Dragon Ball had Legacy of Goku, which is meh, but still, you get the sequel out of it, Legacy of Goku 2, and Boo's Fury, which also had issues, but nonetheless, like, it just seems like handhelds, and especially like the Game Boy Advance.
Game Boy Advance had a lot of systems have a little bit of everything, but it seems like the Game Boy Advance had a lot of everything.
Yeah, oh yeah. But it just again, it seems like the nice thing about Game Boy Advance is like it's not like with Persona where you got Persona 5 on the PS4 and that was it for the PS4. And it's like no, the Game Boy Advance you get like not just one great Sonic game, you get 2 and then 3. And then Sonic Battle is great as well. So you get that side game and it just again, because they're quicker to make, so you can fit more in the lifespan of that handheld console. But anyway, I don't know if you have anything more you want to say about Mega Man itself, because that was what the topic was supposed to be. But
I kind of do.
Okay.
I just wanted to say that with this coming out now, the one like I'm a little cautious. But also a little hopeful because at this point they are now running out of things to put in a collection for Mega Man. So if that happens, what's going to happen next with it? Or are they going to just stop making Mega Man games or collections, or are they just going to, start making new ones again?
So I was talking to Austin at work today about this, about like why Mega Man has not really had anything recently. For the people who say, like, well, Capcom's only working with Resident Evil and Street Fighter. They're not doing anything with even one of their biggest and Devil May Cry, right? Even one of their biggest franchises, Mega Man. I'm like, well, that's not true, but they're not doing anything new. Here's the problem. And for the people who say it's because Keiji Inafune's gone, I don't believe that at all. Keiji Inafune is not as pivotal to the successes of Mega Man as he would like you to believe. Keiji Inafune's whole, I think, existence at this point is basically convincing people that he was the guy who made Mega Man, which is not completely true. He worked on the original Mega Man. It was a project, I think that the problem is, okay, they don't know where to go with this series. They've made so many 2D ones, so they're thinking, like, in regards to the 3D Mega Man, like, okay, let's start with 3D. Translating the gameplay of 2D Mega Man to 3D has never made a whole lot of sense. Now, I know they did it with Mega Man Legends 1 and 2, and people look fondly on those games now, but you have to remember those games were not well received when they came out. I'm not sure, I don't think they were, like, panned. I don't think they were, like, hated, but they weren't necessarily seen as, like...
They were underrated.
Yeah, they were not seen as great Mega Man games. And there are reasons for that. Taking jumping and shooting as a concept and putting it... Like, okay, Mega Man, you have to ask yourself, is it a shooter or is it a platformer? Well, it's more shooter, but it has platforming. I think that's the way I see it, at least. I think that's the way Capcom sees it. So I was like, okay, well, what do? Do you make it a first-person shooter? I'm like, I don't know. That's kind of weird for Mega Man, right? Like,
they actually started doing that.
They did
and then
cancel one.
it.
Yes, they did cancel a first-person Mega Man shooter. I would be down with trying that, but I don't know. That doesn't seem like Mega Man. Like, to me, like, he's a character. You want to look at the character. It's just like, it's like if you had Sonic in first person. Well, first of all, you get sick, but it's
that would be awful.
Yeah. Just like do the spin dash and like vomit.
Fuck it, we'll just make it a VR game too.
Right. I think that's kind of where you start to be like, okay, like a first-person shooter. So I thought to myself, like, okay, like what about a third-person shooter like Gears of War? I mean, not with the elements like you run and hide, but just in the third person, or like a Resident Evil 4 over the shoulder, right? I was like, I think that works better. I think it works better for Mega Man, but I still think, like, I think that the problem is, like, when you're thinking, like, the best way to do it is to, like, do it, like, Ocarina of Time style, right? Where you're just like, oh, your character's in the middle, you can like walk around, and that's what they did with Legends, right? And I'm like, no, that probably does make the most sense. The problem is that Mega Man's main weapon is a gun, and again, like, could you do the lock-on stuff? Yeah, you can, but like, you also kind of want something more skill-based. So, whatever, you could. I'm sure fans can figure something out. I'm not saying it cannot be done. I always hate it when people are like, oh, you can't do it, because I'm like, no. I think if you try hard enough, you can come up with something. So I'm not saying it cannot be done. So don't come at me, Mega Man fans. I truly believe that there is a great idea for a 3D Mega Man out there. I just think that it's really, really hard to come up with compared to some other series. Okay, 2D. I just think, in regards to that Capcom is probably thinking to themselves, like, we've made Mega Man, like, 10, 11, 12, and they're starting to feel like, what else do we do with it? Like, I personally, like, and I think a lot of Mega Man fans might be okay with them to just make more 2D games, but I do think that maybe people at some point are just like, okay, well, we've played them all, like, it just feels like the last one, like, blah, 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 and I'm like, I don't know, like, maybe you do some with, like, one with, like, modern graphics. I know they did, like, 11 and 12 was, like, it looked old school, right? I'm like,
11 is the furthest they're up to.
Is it 11? Okay. So it's just, I don't have a problem with that, but I think this is what Capcom's thinking in regards to 2D. I think they think, like, that's fine. But what they really want, and I think they know what fans really want, is they want, like, a big, like, AAA 3D Mega Man game. And they just don't have the idea for it. They're just like, nothing is working in that department. And I do think that's what Mega Man fans want. They don't want... They appreciate... I shouldn't say that. They appreciate the 2D awesome... legacy Mega Man games, but what they really want is Legends 3, right? Like, that's, and they're like, and Capcom is just
as a Mega Man fan, I completely agree with
right.
that.
Like, I think that is the truth, and the truth about that is, like, it's like Sonic Adventure. It's just one of those things. It's like, great, a lot easier said than done, right? Like, a lot easier said than done. I'm sure there's some hardcore dedicated fans who are like, well, I fucking figured it out, or something. I'm like, I bet you did, but unless you can pitch that idea to Capcom and get them all on board and all that shit, so anyway,
good luck.
I will buy this Battle Network connection when it comes.
Oh, me too.
Connection,
me too.
collection, for fuck's sake, collection when it comes out.
Are you thinking of, like,
I'm not thinking of anything. It just
like,
slips out of my mouth like that.
those like, you know how they have those old cartoons, like Conjunction Junction, and you're just thinking Legacy Connection, Network
Connection. Oh man.